Agenda. Now, I did give you all a little piece of paper because maybe you came here wanting a specific thing discussed, okay? And so our agenda here is thank you to AOT, who I am. I put a nice little sign about a nice little picture of this beautiful little boy with a Mini Cooper. I cannot claim him, he's just a stock photo. But the reason why I have him is because this workshop is really, think mini, right? Just really tiny bits to hopefully take back and apply it to your brand. But if there's anything on here that you thought we were going to cover, not on here that you thought we would cover, you can jot that down. But we're going to go over kind of your voice and tone, personas, which can sometimes be an audience, and what the electronic formats are out there. Talk a little bit about how we get, once we've got our story down, how do we get going? A little bit about Social Sipper. Our mission, we help our clients take our brands through storytelling. This person over here, that's not me. That's my business partner, Shannon. She has decades, we're getting old now, so we don't like to quantify it, but decades of experience. She's been in marketing forever. My background is creative writing. I've also been an instructor of writers. I've been a teacher, and part of good writing is know the audience and write to that audience. Guess what? That's also part of branding, right? Know your audience. So we came together and we formed Social Sipper about May. We opened our doors in May. So we're a brand new company, but we're not brand new with experience. Here I am. I'm a late bloomer by every sense of the word. I got my kids late in life. I got married late in life, still didn't work out well. I got my college degree late in life, but I've always been learning, right? So that's kind of just who I am. I'd like to talk to you about my family a little bit. Now, you all have met my mom. She's back here. She's my moral support. She says she doesn't have a job, but her job kind of is taking care of me, even though I'm old. But I want to tell you a little bit about this guy here. This is my dad. My dad is a high school dropout. He got out of getting drafted in the Army because he enlisted in the Navy. Time out. Oh.
Say test 1, 2, 3.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Can y'all hear her through the speakers?
No.
I can hear.
Is there a volume here?
I can hear her fine.
Yeah. Technical difficulties. They can't hear you over the music. I mean, over the. Just continue.
Okay. So, as I was saying all this, my father's a very successful man, okay? He didn't start out that way, but he worked his way up through the military, wound up going through the officer candidacy, retired as a commander, started his own small company, and that's kind of where I got my entrepreneurship. But when a woman that had worked for him for 7 years, where he's had dinner, he knew her kids, he knew everything about her, she was a great worker, he loved having her. When she asked for a letter of recommendation, he couldn't write it. He's not a writer. He does, whether it's lack of confidence or lack of ability or just lack of practice. So he's really my inspiration of why I wanted to help other small businesses out there. Because let's face it, with the electronic format of everything is being looked at first, right? So that's him. That's kind of my story. This is my daughter over here. We took my son to go jet ski for his 16th birthday, because now when you're 16, you don't get your driver's license. You have to be 16 in 3 months. So that was the big thing we did. A little bit about my community. I also like to spend my time helping young women become really great leaders, and the way I am doing that is through volunteering my time through the Boy Scouts of America. They do now have all female troops. They still do all the same kind of program. They can make it up to Eagle Scout, and I think 2 years ago, Virginia got their first 4 female Eagle Scouts. So there we are, like kind of bombarding a gas station, which is really fun. Okay, so let's talk about branding. What it is, what it isn't. Have you ever met somebody or been at a party or been dating someone for a little while and you feel like it's just not jiving, right? But you can't really pick why, but it's just not feeling right. And I don't know if anybody's old enough to have watched Seinfeld, but when you try to put a
She's stupid. She's got the Gini eggs. She's a virgin.
He's poor.
She's got everything I've always wanted in another human being. Except for the walking. She eats her peas one at a time. She gets the credit for myself. He's a male bimbo. He's a bimbo. He's one of these low talkers.
No, because he's a high talker.
I'm a close talker. She can't hear very well out of her left ear. She's full. She's full.
He's a bad breaker up.
Right? If you just say like why you don't like the person, it almost sounds a little bit, superficial, right? Because it's really more about a feeling. They obviously are not connecting with these people they're dating, right? And that's what I wanted you to think about when you think about brand. Brand is a feeling, much more so than this physical, visual logo that we think of, or the colors that we use, or, oh, what kind of font is it, right? That's important because it gives us visual recognition, but it really goes well below that, right? And it falls back into what is the mission and vision of your company? How are you different? Okay, what's your personality? And then what is the perception of who you are as a company? Which is a little different. Way back when organizations and companies would tell us what their brand was, right? But now we kind of tell them based on our social networking, based on how we use our word of mouth. So this is like a complete brand strategy. Pencils down, you don't have to write this, okay? But this is all about what the complexity can be to get together a whole full brand for your organization or your company. And it starts right up with a strategy. And if you really look at kind of those middle squares, it has a lot to do with who you are as a company, your purpose, your vision, your mission, your values. Every company has one of these, right? But do they really believe it? And do they really use it? I know Lori and AOT has some mission and values that they use within their community. They promote it. So let's go on to kind of what we think of, right? So obviously Coca-Cola's done this whole brand strategy, right? And you think of Coca-Cola as the voice. What do you think of when you think of Coca-Cola? Do I have any volunteers?
I think great drink.
Great drink. Makes me thirsty just looking at it. Honestly, when I was finishing this up yesterday, I was like, gosh, I could really go for a Coke right now. How about that? Right? How about that old-fashioned, that feeling like you're on the porch with grandma, right? That family, that reconnecting during the holidays. That's what Coca-Cola says, right? They're consistent with, it's a great time. They put people's names on Cokes. We're all part of one family, right? Come drink a Coke, be nostalgic.
They need to bring that whole song back from the 80s. You guys
They
remember
do.
that?
Yeah.
It literally made everybody feel good because we had to sing along with it.
And the thing with Coke is it's consistent, the consistency of that same messaging, that same voice. That's not the same as Mountain Dew, right? Mountain Dew has a totally different voice. Still soda, right? So that's what we're talking about when we're thinking about the voice of a brand. Now let's look at Nike shoes, right? If we're paying attention to brands and we put on our Nike shoes, man, I can run miles and miles, right? Because it's in my head, it's my brand that I think of.
Just do it.
Just do it, right? Now Nike actually gets their name from mythology. There's a Greek god called Nike, and she would come down at the battles and she would determine who was the winner and who was the loser, right? So let's all be winners here, right? That's what Nike says. Again, it's consistent what their message is. But here's a different shoe company that has a totally different message. Tom's. Has anybody heard of Tom's? They're a shoe company with a real mission, right? And their mission is to make sure that everybody has, this one, mental health issues, resources that need them, shoes for third world countries, for folks who need shoes. And what they're doing with this is they still sell shoes like Nike, right? But they have a very different voice. They have a very different tone, and what they are doing is they're doing good things in society that a certain part of audiences, right, really resonates with. So people go to Tom's to buy shoes, but they also go to Tom's to buy shoes to support causes that they believe in.
Are they the dog shoes? Like they have dogs all over them?
I think they have a lot of different designs, yeah, and I think they have some real fun ones. And I think I have another slide with them. Yeah, like, see, they have a lot of really fun stuff. right? Buy a pair of shoes, a pair of shoes for kids, okay? So if you believe in that, if that's important to you, you may be more likely to go check out Tom's shoes before Nike shoes, right? Even if you're buying that same type of style of shoe. It's based on what that person, that audience, and audiences are really key to finding out what their friends, right, think first, that word of mouth. Okay, so this is where we're gonna do a little work on our own, right? So to find your own voice, now think your company voice, your professional brand, like as a professional brand and content writer, right? Your personal brand, what are your values? So I'd like us actually to take about 45 seconds to think about what your values are. And yeah, what your values are. So I want to put a little quick timer on so I don't run out of time, because 45 seconds seems really long when you're standing waiting. But you've got a little piece of paper if you want to think about some values.
Gina, we don't all have pens.
Uh-oh. I have one.
Anybody else?
I know where there's a box.
Lesson learned for us.
I have a couple more. Anything you want? There you go, now you need one.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. It's been stolen.
But I like that it's still all the time. Who's that?
It just says stolen from.
That's funny.
Now I'm an accomplice. Thanks.
Well, I probably stole it from someone. I'm a pen thief.
So believe it or not, that's 45 seconds. Okay. So while you're thinking about what values that are most important to you, you know, how do those values fit into your business goals? So, anybody want to share some values that they feel are really important? Honesty? Hard work?
Kindness.
Kindness?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Anyone
Comfortability.
else? Comfortability? Mhm.
Integrity.
Integrity, very nice.
Time,
Time, what do you mean?
being, well, with me, I say time because, for what the work I do, if one client comes in late, they can push over to another client. If I come late, I could lose money as well. So time is really big for me. So
So-
if I'm on time, I would expect for my clients to be on time, so we don't push over, and vice versa. If they was to come on time, they would expect me to be on time as well.
Right,
So
absolutely.
time is really big for me.
Time. And I mean, we've all probably had stories where we've sat and waited, like rushed to get to our appointment on time and just sat and waited, right? So that's a value, right? You come to me, I'm gonna be there for you when it's your turn.
Don't make me wait like a doctor's office, which by the way, they schedule that shit. They should know how long each of those appointments are. By the way,
They
use
move
language.
They move you from the big waiting room into the little waiting room. Called the.
Oh,
the
Brandon, you can sit in the big waiting room an extra 30 minutes
Mhm.
or longer. I mean, sorry, this is a pet
Sorry.
peeve of mine.
Yeah,
Right,
don't
but-
start the tangent.
Things like being empathetic, you know, being trustworthy, being accountable, being transparent with your pricing maybe, you know, what are values that you really believe in? And I don't know if you've seen this Charles Schwab ad, because I was like, wait, all right, well, we'll see what's
My dad was a hard worker. He used to do side jobs, installing windows, charging something like $100 a video, and other guys were charging $400 to $500. He just didn't.
Oh, all right, how do I get it bigger, maybe? All right, hold on one second. Escape. I think we can just make it bigger that way.
There you go.
There we go.
My dad was a hard worker. He used to do side jobs, installing windows, charging something like $100 a video. Another guys were charging $400 or $500. He just didn't want to do that. He was proud of the price he was charging. My dad instilled in me, always put the people in. Be proud of offering a good product at a fair price. I think he'd be extremely proud of me. Yeah.
Charles Schwab. I've watched this probably 3 or 4 times before I was like, wait, where's the window guy? Right? Because I'm thinking it's about a window story. But it's about that transparency and chart, right? They're saying their story, their value is, we're gonna charge, you know, what's reasonable, not just because the market allows it, and that's their story. They're sticking to it. But that could give you a little inspiration on what your values could be from current slides. Here we go. Now he's super big. Oh gosh. Okay. So, do you want to turn and talk to anybody about the values you have? Are you stuck with any, or you want to? I don't want to rush us, but at the same time, I don't.
Quality is important. Quality service, quality product. Those were 2 of the things that sort of brought me here. High-end product, excellent service.
Right, and that's why you moved over to this company, right? Which
Well, actually, Lori's read me, but.
right, but and
Clean
then
to remember.
that goes into your own core, you know, personal values, right?
Exactly.
You want to represent, because we're all representing ourselves to a degree, right? Regardless. So do you want to represent, hey, do you want to be the cheapest and the fastest? There's people out there that want that, right? But if you don't and you want to have the best quality service, I had a midwife that I had to wait forever to get to, right? When I was pregnant, but once I got into her room, she was all on me. Right, her value may not have been timing, right? But it was, we are together when we're together, right?
Yeah, I put committed.
Committed. Yeah,
And the other
partnership.
one that stands out for me, which I consider a value, but I'm not sure, is education.
The constant learning, lifelong learner, absolutely. Right, because sometimes you can tell your client, hey, I'm not really sure what to do here, but I'll look at it, right? I'll talk to my contacts, I'll research it, I'll learn it, and then teach you. Okay, so your values. So like one of my personal values is helping girls become strong, independent leaders, you know, especially when they're like 12 and 13 and they're so funky about themselves. So once you have your values, how would you be able to contribute, right? Tom's contributes with their shoes. How can you contribute? I'm gonna contribute with my time by helping volunteer. Take a few seconds to think about what are ways that you could tie your values into a way that you could contribute.
Well, that's easy for me, because I'm the president of the board for the Her Shelter, because I want to be there. Steal artists. I'm president, I get to steal it. Because I want to help people, and I have the resources to help people.
Mm-hmm. And you are, Lori, like an inspiration to me. You know, because I think that that's awesome. I mean, having this out for entrepreneurs and for small business people, but then also that work that you do with the nonprofit and the Her Shelter. You know, it's important, and it can help you feel better about yourself, help get you out into the community, but then also help build your brand of who your company is, and that's okay. Anybody else want to share about how to contribute?
Almost everything that I do and almost any client that I take on now is related to education. So that's where I really, have that commitment. But I'm also I founded the Leadership Roundtable for women only, to continue to grow and educate it. And then I also serve on a GRC, which is Green Run Collegiate Foundation at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a wide range, but it's constantly in my face. And I do a lot of free. This one was not free, but I do a lot of free training too.
Yeah. I think lifelong learners do like to teach other people too. That's part of the passion.
Well, I started out as a teacher. I taught high school for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
You got me beat. All right, would anybody else like to share about how they think they can maybe contribute? You know, there's some easy ways to contribute, like if there's an organization that you like, but you don't have the time to do it because you have littles at home or you've got this job or whatever, right? Like you could still promote their events through your own social networking group, right? You can do things to just kind of get exposure out there. If it happens to be tied to your company, then that's also, you know, additional exposure. Then they're like, wow, this is great. AOT also helps a herd, you know, foundation. I want to help them. Okay, so this we could take a little bit of a break, but all right. So this is how you would build your equity, right? These are the basic ways. You want to engage your customers and prospects. You're building your brand awareness by creating your brand and story. You're telling a story. You know, Schwab's told a story about a window maker. Whenever I told the story about my father, about why I got into this. People want to hear stories. They don't necessarily want to learn about your features as much as they want to hear about story and be able to identify and empathize. And then improve your customer experience. That's by listening to your customers, whether it's online. And then, you know, if you already have a good brand, if you want to go in, just because you think you got a good brand, right, doesn't mean that everybody else thinks that. So you can always go back and reassess and ask folks why they buy from you, what they like, what they don't like. And I can, if you want this, I can send this out to everybody as a PDF. I wanted to lead up to this. Okay, so I showed you Coke, right? I showed you Tom's, I showed you Nike. Of course, they're all really great big companies. Social Sipper does not have that marketing budget. But this is what I want to show you. Over the summer, I went down to the Outer Banks, Duck Donuts. Anybody been to Duck Donuts? You don't even have to go to Outer Banks anymore.
I order from there all the time.
They started in Duck, North Carolina.
The one place I've ever known you can make your own donut.
One donut, right? One company, one little bakery, or I think it was a boyfriend, girlfriend started it. But this is what they decided. When I went up there this summer to grab some donuts for the family, they had this in the window. And it says, be safe, be seen, never swim alone. That sounds like a value that they have, right? Let's not drown in our ocean. And so it says, hey, for text alerts, where the lifeguards are, sign up here. And by the way, you get a free donut when you do. Right? So is it, you know, is that spending a lot of money for them? No, probably the poster probably costs more than what they give out in donuts, right? But that's a value that they have. And that's a value that you could have in this area. I mean, unfortunately, we do have drownings every year in our area. So it doesn't have to be this big, huge, oh, I want to give other people shoes like Tom's does. It can just be something that resonates within the community, you know, to help you fulfill your mission, but then also help you with your brand. Okay, so you find your values, you figure out how you can contribute and how you can impress your values on society, and then how do you share that story, right? So that's where that content comes in. That's really where it starts getting a little more difficult. Okay, and that's with your values, and you provide powerful messaging, right, that resonates with your audience. So who's your audience? Well, let's think about the tone of something we say, right? Like if I say, hey Mary, let's go have a chat. Right? Versus saying gossip, right? Versus I need to have a discussion with you, right? Different words mean different things, right? Different feelings, right? So that's part of that tone. And your audience may resonate with one feeling versus another feeling, right? And that's the wrong one. I've been saying tone. And I've been saying audience, and in marketing it's really called more personas. If you're an author, it's more like your audience, right? But who are your personas? Who are the different people you're selling to? I have a friend who's a loan officer, right? I've had my house for 20 years. She's not going to give me the same message as someone who's brand new just thinking about buying a house, right? We've got two different things. I probably don't even want the same product. I might still need her as a loan officer, but I don't need the same product that somebody else has. And I'm going to respond differently to a different type of communication than somebody else might, right? Someone looking for an investment or beach house property is going to be different than someone who's working on their credit to get their first townhouse, to build. So that's, the tone goes back to, you've got your story, right? But then who are the different types of people you're selling to? And how do you, it's the same story, but how do you take that story and kind of modify it and change it around to where it resonates with your different types of customers? Okay, so that's where we're going to share our story at. And then so now you figured out, okay, I've got a couple of different groups of people. I've got experienced clients that I want to work with, so that's a little different than new ones. But then what are you trying to accomplish with the story, right? Are you trying to just get brand out there? Just let people know, hey, Social Stepper's out here now. We've been out here since May. Yay. You know, are you trying to educate buyers? Maybe part, like the workshops, maybe part of it is just, hey, I want to give to other small businesses. I want to help other people out. You know, you have to figure out kind of what you're trying to accomplish with the story. Do you want everybody to know that, hey, I have been in this industry for a long time. I've got a lot of expertise. I'm here to help you. Okay, put me on your speed dial. So, and again, it doesn't have to be one, right? You could have like a department of 8 marketing people and they could all be working on different things, or it could be you, right? And so you're just going to focus on one thing. But when you are able to figure out who your different customer bases are and what kind of communication resonates with them, that's going to change from leads, right? You know, those people are like, I just want business, whatever, give it to me. But when you're able to figure out who are your customers and build those communications towards them, you're not going to be spending that same amount of money. You're not going to be working on trying to figure out which leads are actual leads versus not, right? And you're differentiating you in the marketplace. So, full disclosure, right? I am a marketing company. We do branding, content, but then we also do all the tactics. So, I have a question for you all. Do you think you need to have a website?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm still not positive. Full disclosure, we can build websites, right? We can do that. Of course we can. We do great websites, but it does say that the newest statistic is 55% of people will Google search, right, before they go visit your establishment. So how comprehensive of a website do you need? I'm not sure, but you probably would want a website to do one of 3 things or all 3 things. Right, promote your service or showcase it, highlight customer experience, or answer questions that people might be calling to find out what time are you open, or can you fix this, or can you fix that, right? So even if it's just a basic website, you're going to want to do that. Now, has anybody heard of the Google My Business or Google Business page? Okay, this is a free service. This is what I'd say that you should do no matter what. Okay, even if it's just your own personal professional brand, you know, insurance person. So what I did, this was really bothering me a couple weeks ago at Google. I had to get a new Scout shirt. So I went to Google where the Scout store is in Virginia Beach, and as you know how it populates different places, right? It populated 3 different troops, but none of them were my troops that I volunteered for. Why? Because I did not have a business profile. I didn't have a Google profile. So now if you go into Maps and you say like Scout Shop near me, if you're close to where we meet, you're going to also see us. So if you're somebody selling insurance, you know, or selling some kind of legal service or anything like that, and you want to put it together your own business page, you don't have to put an address, you can put where you service, right? So if you go meet people in certain areas. And what that's going to do is if I Google insurance agent near me, then all of a sudden that Google map comes up and shows me, here we are, and I'm very proud of myself. Whoops. Very proud, right there.
But you did tell your address then, right?
Well, with this address, this is because they're at a church. So I would want people to know, oh, you're interested in a Boy Scout troop, oh, they're on Mule Road, which is one of the churches. So with that, yes, but like if you're doing your own, you can just put zip codes of where you service, and they'll do that instead. But I highly, that doesn't cost anything. Okay, it's a way to put yourself out there. And Google Maps, have you noticed, I mean, think about how you use the internet, right? When you start Googling for stuff, You're going to Google, like when you're looking for something, the Google Maps shows up like right in the middle. It goes add, and then Google Maps. And sometimes there's no ads here, and they're still listed first, right? So that's free to do. That's will help Google. It also helps with like some SEO for your website. Then once you have your business page, you could do ads on Google if you wanted to, right? You can also see who's been on that business page. You can see the Google reviews, right? So you can ask your clients to start writing Google reviews for you. There's really, and that's all free. That's just because we all look. Well, hairdressers near me, okay? Someone's got 5 stars or 4.5 stars versus 2.5 stars. I mean, whether it's true or not, we still do it, right? We'll pick the higher starred person. Or the least, we'll be like, oh, I wonder what this website is. Website. Now, this is not true. I don't actually have a website for but I put like the regional website on there. Because, I don't need every single kid in Virginia Beach to come to my troop. I just want them to know that, hey, there is one real close to you if you're interested. All right, so we know people like to look at websites. Now, when I did the Boy Scout one, it also said free webpage. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to click this one-page website that's Google has something on it, like it's, scouts.googlesite.com or something like that. And it's a template. It's easy enough. And I'm thinking if the 3 goals of a website is, what are your services or products, what customer experiences, or answer some questions, that Google website might be okay. I don't know, Remember, my mission is to get more of you out there into the world. I mean, my partner might want me to actually bring some revenue in too, but anyways, that's where we are, right? So we want to put you out there being different. You have a different story. You're not like everybody else, okay? And then you want to start messaging. So how do we do that? I mean, you could do print pages, right? You could do mailers. Email is really great also, by the way. You can pay for third-party emails and send a nice little message out to certain people, right? But when it comes to social media, it's pretty overwhelming, I think. What do y'all think? Mm-hmm. Right, because there's so many different ones. So if you're going to go and use social media, by far, Facebook. Where's Facebook on there? It's not even on there.
It's the social media.
It is by far still the largest social media group. I know the younger people, younger than me, they're all Instagram. Instagram is fantastic. If you're doing like visual things, designing, food, right? Those are really great. Just know the different media sources, right? Know what kind of folks are going to it. TikTok is great. I love spending, 3 hours of mindless time on TikTok. Every once in a while, there's something that I'm like, hey, what's going on? And then I realize it's an ad, like they tricked you a little bit. But it's like, could be interesting, right? So with the social media, pick which ones you want to do, which ones you think your best audience or your clients are going to be on, and then you have to kind of really work the algorithms and work how they like it, because social media, it's their own sandbox. So if you want Facebook to show your business profile, which you can do a business profile on Facebook as well for no cost, right? And then you can. But you have to play with their rules, right? So in each one of these different social media platforms have different rules. I will tell you that none of them want you to take their people off their website. So when you are on Facebook and you show them a video that you put on TikTok, like TikTok will share it or whatever, Facebook doesn't really like that because they want you to stay on their platform, right? And that kind of makes sense from their business model or any of those social media model. So just when you're posting, try to drive traffic either back to your own website or stay on that platform that you're on to get more exposure.
Throw this out there. We have probably a social media account for everyone, so let's just say 5 social media accounts. I use Hootsuite. I don't know if anybody else used it. I didn't like it at first, but now I can do I can have all of my accounts up at one time, post all of them. I got a schedule for the next month of posts, and it posts each one, but it also gives you those algorithms that you're talking about.
Like it'll say the
it'll
time
break
of day.
it down. The time of the day, the most people that work with your post, the most engagements you get. So it gives you all those algorithms in Hootsuite too.
Yes. So Hootsuite can manage multiple platforms, right? And that's a subscription model. You have to pay for that, and that's great when you have.
I think they have a trial version of it.
Okay. Our company uses a different company called Loomly, but like I can post.
That's what we use.
Is that what
said
you use?
Loomly?
Loomly. And I can post like Social Sipper. We have all the different ones, so I can post, and then each one has a different image size, so you have to change it, and then the algorithm, like, oh, you want hashtags here, you want this. But it can make it go a lot faster than going to each individual one. If you're not in that level though, and you just want to try like Facebook, Facebook has its own Meta Office suite that you can, has a calendar, you can post ahead of time. And that's the biggest thing I think, that create a schedule, right? Because if anybody says like, oh, I'm gonna start posting on my Facebook, oh, I'm gonna take pictures every time I do a mural, you know, I'm gonna do a before and after, I'm gonna do this. It's tough to do it. And keep in mind, even though it's in the moment, right, when we're looking at our social media, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be in the moment for you. Like you could post something from last month that said, here's my before and after, right? So you want to get your collateral, right? You want to get those images, you want to get those testimonials. Yes, Susan.
I will share, I have two philosophies on this. It's definitely easier to book them all on all of them. They are very different platforms. So for our clients, we do a lot of LinkedIn and a lot of Facebook. Those two, we don't need TikTok.
No.
So, you know, for business to business. So what I have found is my tone and the actual content has to change some between them. Plus, if you know you have a lot of the same audience on LinkedIn and Facebook, what do you want to do? I mean, I know you're hoping you'll hit them, and you could put it out all the same thing and hope to hit them once somewhere. But I just try not to give them the same information too many times.
Right.
But it is easier. That's why I don't take on a lot of social media anymore.
Yeah.
Because if I'm gonna do it, but yeah. And I do think in building your own personal brand, like if you work for a large company, then you have, of course, you have guidelines what you probably can do and what you can't do. But
if you want to stay on top of mind, you don't always, right? Because part of probably my notes, but not on here, was you're not supposed to be selling all the time. People don't want that. They're not going to follow you. They're not going to like you. You want to be, you know, at the top of the mind, right? You want to be like, oh, what is going on this weekend? Oh, I'm checking Vintage Virginia Beach because they always know what concerts are on or whatever. That's not necessarily true, but my point is, right, like whatever you're doing, you know, like if you're in real estate, maybe instead of talking about the houses every day, you talk about winterizing your flower beds, or do you bring your patio furniture in for the winter time? I haven't ever, but you know what I mean? Like other things as well as that sales side, right? You just don't want to be promoting sales.
So I came up with an idea years ago about what's stuck in Chuck's crawl space.
And I love it.
And it is probably the smartest thing I've ever done, and it was just by accident.
Really?
And
That's a good idea.
And is it a
I don't know if any of y'all
Facebook
have-
page, or how does it
I
work?
don't know if any of y'all have a grandma like I did, but if something got stuck in her crawl, she was gonna eat you up, all 80 pounds of her, and she would whoop your ass, all 89 pounds of her. So she would get something stuck in her crawl. I'd go underneath the house, and some butthead plumber had cut through a beam underneath the house, just destroyed it. And I'm coming out, and I'm just like, I just get stuck in my crawl. Did somebody charge somebody for that? If a homeowner did it, you're just an idiot, and you know,
Right,
that's fine.
right.
But if you got charged for it and like damaged the structure of the house, it just really gets stuck in my crawl. And I'm coming out, I was on Facebook, and
That's a great
what got
one.
stuck in Chuck's crawl today, and it just went ape crazy, like just hundreds and thousands of hits and likes, and like, oh my God, where's this house at? And it, so I do it kind of for entertainment, And then other people are like, what is that? What is, so now I gotta explain it, because people ask, so it
Right.
gets people asking questions. And
Gets them engaged,
my
that's
goal
right.
is to top of mind awareness. I want everybody to think about those green and orange vans driving everywhere, so it's.
And that you're a leader in the industry, right? Because
What's
you're
that?
a leader in the industry, because when you're doing this kind of funny, but you're also kind of showing like all these things that come out of a crawl space. I'm on a slab, so I don't have one of those,
You were
but
lucky.
that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely, put a schedule together, prioritize the content. Like I had put together a schedule, and I was announcing the Neptune Festival on Saturday morning as another great community event. And I was like, well, we're gonna have to switch that, right? So just because you put a content calendar out there, you still want to prioritize content. Get with, if something's really trending, you can Google trending hashtags, or I know with my scouts, there was this big video of, it was the Little League baseball, and then one pitcher hit the other kid batting, and something happened where they hugged each other, right? And then made, Good Morning America made all the news, oh, look, all these great things these kids are doing, this leadership. Of course, like as a scout person, I was like, I see this every single day on the 10-mile hike that we took, right? So that was like, I'm hashtagging that, like in my BSA Facebook page, because I'm using that trending to generate interest and relevant today's messaging. Okay, so the other thing, if you're gonna work on the social media, the other thing is you wanna be a good social listener. So you're not just putting stuff out there for people to read, you're commenting on other people's stuff. And not just like smiley face comment, right? Purposeful comments. You're sharing other thought leadership on your wall, so you're kind of influencing your influencers. And you want to make sure that if you get any kind of like have you ever seen somebody write a bad review and then like there's no response at all, like not even sorry? It's like, geez, I mean, sometimes the reviews are ridiculous, like at Dockside it smelled like the ocean. There are a lot of fish. We read, Dockside's one of my favorites, and we read, my kids and I driving back, we read these Google reviews, and some of them are just absolutely ridiculous, right? Like, how could you fault that organization? But, right, so the listening though side of it, right? Whenever somebody has anything to say, good or bad, it's an opportunity to enhance your client experience. If it's something bad, they could just be crazy, but hey, whatever the case is, right, respond. And if they like something, ask them to follow you. That's the other thing. Go back to your post. You can see that on your Hootsuite and stuff, right? Go back to the post. See the people who just put like a like or an emoji, and invite them to follow your page. Let them know you're listening. And then from here on out, I just have best practices of all the different social medias and sizes. These are all things that you could Google. We can do it, we're running time-wise. I don't know where we are.
We have about 5 more minutes.
Okay, so I think I would like to rather just wait and see if anybody has any questions, because I can send this to you all, and this talks about, like, this is Facebook, and the size parameters, all the different things, the videos. Does anybody know about Canva?
I was
Know
getting
about
ready to say
Canva?
that.
Yeah, I use Canva all the time.
Right,
Yeah.
so Canva, even the free set, Canva's a success story. They were a startup, and they started having people bring, so Canva, you can design things. You can design, I actually designed my PowerPoint in there as a presentation.
That's where I design all our flyers.
Yep. I mean, there's really, and you can do your free program. That's where I get a lot of my Scout stuff. You can do a paid one as well. But I mean, it
Can you
gives you
spell
really.
that?
C-A-N-V-A, Canva.
C-A-N-V-A.
And I like it because I can use it on my phone.
Yes,
I can't.
it's so easy to
See.
use.
You what?
I like it because I can use it on my phone. If I'm working on something here and then I go home and I'm like, man, I really want to finish that, I can just pull it off my phone and work on the same design.
I mean, honestly, I've posted some really phenomenal food pictures that I did not actually make. Remember that one? You're like, oh, that looks really good, Gina. I was like, yes, it does. But anyways, right? So, remember the pro tip, how you were talking about, like, each program has its own algorithm. You know, so, and you can Google any of these things, Instagram and Facebook work together, so if you're gonna do something on Facebook, create an Instagram one. Just change the size.
And Canva already has the size and megapixels and everything already laid
All that
out.
stuff, it's awesome. That's why I couldn't get my PowerPoint over to Kellen today, because I put so many pictures. I had to compress it. But so, you know, TikTok, I've seen some real estate people and stuff are doing TikTok. I mean, if it works for your demographics, you know, try it out. You don't even have to have like a video studio or anything. Everything is just on your phone now. So,
TikTok has its own video studio.
yeah. Well, even, and you know, videos can also be just a couple of pictures together, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be you talking, right? It can be like a slideshow. I think I would like to just, at this point, where's my thank you slide? Oh, gosh.
Say thank you.
Oh, well. Thank you. Are there questions? Is there anything that y'all wanted more, because Susan's been in the industry for longer than I have. I've really been more of a business development person. I sold affinity products across the country to alumni organizations and membership organizations. And I learned that my marketing team always kind of talked to one kind of persona. And I noticed when I was in Texas, they didn't really care what happened in Washington, or, you know, so like I started learning all this back as a salesperson. You know, you resonate, you say certain things and it resonates with certain people. So, yes. Any
Now, that's a
questions?
great background for marketing because you've been listening to customers and probably pick up on all that very easily. So it helps with the writing and everything.
Right. Well, you've got to know the pain points, right? That's what they say in sales, and that's marketing too. You've got to know what those pain points are and how you can help them. One of the quotes I wanted to tell you all was like, no customer really thinks about your brand, right? They're worried about their problems. If your brand happens to help their problem, they'll think about you, but like, I'm not thinking about my shampoo anymore, right? Right? But, so just keep that in mind, and I will shut up now.
Anybody have any questions for her?
So, as a person, like just starting out, say it's a brand new person starting out a new business, what would you recommend them not to do in the beginning?
Let's see what not to do. I mean, so many businesses fail at the first year, which is really sad, I think, because it's a lot of investment, emotional investment too. I would think trying to find out services that you can scale, meaning you can do it more times without creating too much additional work is always a successful pattern. I don't know, what do you all think about ways businesses fail, biting off too much, thinking you need everything at the beginning?
Don't overspend.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. And then there's also really, we all need to analyze what our skills are and where the biggest hole is. Are you going to have time to learn how to do it?
That's true.
Or are you going to figure out who can help you? Because it's like too much can hit the budget bad and too little cannot move you in the direction fast.
Research, I think always more research to find out. Like I was talking to a woman who was starting her own daycare center. So she went around and pretended that she was looking to put her kid in daycare. And I said to her, you probably should have told them, because the daycare centers are totally full right now. Like they need other daycare centers. And that's the other thing I think that sometimes business owners, it's like, oh, Susan's in marketing, I'm in marketing. Yeah. There's so much out there, and there's so many different people out there, and find mentors, find other people that say, hey, you're not going to steal any of my business, and I would like to see you grow as well.
Yeah, or even groups. I mean, like when you mentioned daycare, that's one of my segments.
Yeah.
And there are so many resources for that person to get involved with other, and it's all, in our region, it's all very collaborative, sharing. Network, because these little business owners don't have anybody but themselves, and it's not a high margin profit, so they need help. They can't. It's really hard to start one by yourself.
And networking, I think, is really great, because even if you don't get specific business from networking, you learn about other people, and I get inspired whenever I are talking to other people that have just gone out there on their own and did their thing, and maybe they're more successful than I realized, maybe they're less successful, but they're doing it, they're forging their path.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job, Sarah. Appreciate it. This is Chuck Worley.